Okay. Right. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. I hope you had a good half-term holiday. This is the first assembly since our half-term, so I hope you've had a good break. I hope you've enjoyed this week. And if you've been tuning into the little daily videos, then you'll know that this week's theme has been all about hope. And we've really enjoyed, myself and your teachers, hearing about your hopes for the term ahead, your hopes for yourself, your hopes for your families and for your neighbours and for your friends. And we've especially enjoyed reading some of those hope poems that you've been writing. So fantastic start to the term. Now in school, it's all been a bit different this week because lots of the adults have been back. Some of the children have been back, but lots of you are still at home, and it's going to change again next week. Again, we're going to welcome back some of our year one children. So it's all a bit different. We're in a sort of a halfway house, but listen, some of us are here, some of us are at home, but we're still very much one school. So let's crack on with this assembly. Let's hear about some of the great stuff that's been going on, and let's see if we can encourage a few more people to join and add to this total, because we're still learning, aren't we? Right, so I'm going to start with our reception team. Now for this week, they are just focusing on the children who've been in school, but there's a reason for that. So I've got the shout outs for assembly. Miss Cook, who's written this, has said, I wondered if we could say all of our children's names who've been in school this week, as they're such, they've been small groups and it feels hard to just pick out three. Now, as well as Miss Cook, we've also got Mrs. Pedley, Mrs. Grotsky, Mrs. Wills, Mrs. Binding, Mrs. Morton Sherwood, Mrs. Hill, and Miss Davy, who've been working in those classes at various points. So they would like to shout out. So from RC, we've got Amber, Henry, Yasmin, Scarlett, Poppy, Francesca, Ria, Amelia M, Anna, Sophia, Jack, Einar, Isabel. And in RM, we've got Reggie, Noah, Lila Blue, Eva, Leana, Theodore, Hugo, Elsa, Alice, and Isaiah. And one of the things the staff would particularly like to shout out about is the Tree of Hope, which reception children made this week. Now, I've actually got a picture of that on my script. You can see, you might recognise where that tree is in the Key Stage 1 playground. And the children wrote their hopes on little stars, drew some amazing illustrations, and then hung them up. And I've got a feeling that year one might be doing something similar next week. So it was lovely to see their hopes. So a massive well done to everyone who's been in reception this week. Let's give them a cheer. Oh, my cheer isn't working. What's happened? Oh, I've got the volume down. Let's have it. Let's try that again. Let's give them a cheer. Fantastic. Now, completely forgot to put the reception staff up, but there we go. There's team reception. Let's move on then to our year one team. So let's hear from Mrs. Brown and Miss Evans about who they have selected. So they say, well done year one for another fantastic week of home learning. You're continuing to work extremely hard, and we hope that you are as excited to see us next week as we are to see you. From 1E, Miss Evans would like to shout out to Odysseus, who wrote a lovely list of what hope means to him. He said that hope smells like cookies and feels like a soft teddy bear. I'd also like to shout out to Jay for his completing an amazing collaged sunflower, and to Shania for continuing to work so hard, just as she has done for the whole home learning period. So a cheer for them. Now, Mrs. Brown says she'd like to say well done to all the children who are working hard on their home learning. She said she's seen some fantastic collage pictures of flowers, lots of work on money, and some great writing about hedgehogs. Her shout outs go to Max. He's hoping that he'll get more strawberries on his plants, and he's been looking after during the lockdown. Well, I hope you do get lots of strawberries on your plants, Max. She shouts out to Isaac. He's hoping that when the virus is gone, he can have a barbecue with his family and friends. He's been planning this as part of his home learning, and he's going to write out invitations and menus. Well, I look forward to getting my invitation. Well done. And finally, to Summer, she's hoping that lockdown ends soon so that she can start her horse riding lessons again. That sounds like lots of fun. So let's have a big cheer for 1B. And Year 1 finished by saying, we'd also like to say a massive thank you to all the Year 1 families who've supported us and their children during this whole crazy period. Thank you to the class reps, Gemma and Rachel, for keeping the communication going. And thank you to all the wonderful children that we're so lucky to know. Teamwork definitely makes dream work. Okay, hang on, wrong one. Wrong one, applause. I think I'm a bit rusty on my assembly controls this week. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there, but round of applause for them. Right, let's move on to our Year 2 team. So we have Mrs. Marsden and Miss Devine, and let's see who they have selected this week. They have said, wow, what a fabulous start to term 6. We've been so impressed with the Year 2's enthusiasm this week. Year 2 have been creating bug hotels, and we've been so impressed with their creations and can't wait to hear about what mini beasts they attract into their bug hotels. Year 2 have also enjoyed reading their next text for English and have written some fantastic character descriptions. We've been amazed with the range of exciting adjectives that they've used, and they've also had great success with tally charts and pictograms and have been busy creating their own tally charts. So for 2D, Miss Devine says she would like to shout out to Seth because he hopes that he'll be able to see his nan and granddad again soon. He also hopes that he'll be able to come back to school soon so that he can play with his friends. And she also like to shout out to Maya. Maya hopes that she can return to school to see her friends and go back to ballet and swimming lessons. Let's have a round of applause for 2D. And in 2M, Mrs. Marsden would like to shout out to Buddy. Buddy is hoping that his granddad and his dog get better and that he'll be able to see granddad soon. He's also hoping that it stays sunny so that he can camp in the garden for longer. Mrs. M also shouts out to Arjun. Arjun hopes that the virus will go away soon so that everyone can return to school safe and that he can play with his friends. And finally, her shout out goes to Dexter. Dexter also hopes that the virus will go away so that he can see his friends soon. Let's have a round of applause for 2M. And Year 2 also finished by saying thank you so much to all the Year 2 families for your engagement during this period of home learning. You are all amazing. So, as ever, before we move on to our next set of year groups, I'd just like to say a few little thank yous. And my thank yous this week are directed towards our school team. So I'm going to start with those people who've been in our school who've been working directly with the children this week. Now, I've already mentioned quite a few of them. So in our reception class, we've had Miss Cook, Mrs. Binding, Mrs. Wills, Mrs. Grotsky, Mrs. Pedley, Mrs. Morton Sherwood, Mrs. Hill, and Miss Davey. I know that our staff team have worked really, really hard to get things ready for the children coming back. And I know that, a bit like the children and the families, they felt a bit nervous about coming back themselves, but they've done an absolutely fabulous job this week. I think we met yesterday and we all said we've all overcome our nerves a bit. We're really pleased that Wheatfield is still Wheatfield, even though it's a bit different. And I'm just really proud of that team. I'd also like to shout out to Mrs. Elmore and Mrs. Senior, who have been running Key Worker Club this week. They've done some amazing things with the children. I think they visited Italy one day. They made their own pizzas. I've seen nothing but sort of smile and joy on the children's faces who've been part of that club. So a big shout out to them too. So can we have a round of applause for our staff who've been in school? There's more staff to mention in the next little break. So if you haven't heard your name yet, please don't worry. Now I'm going to move on to our Year 3 team. So Mrs. Bibby, of course, we have there, and Miss Gregory. Now, Year 3 say this: Mrs. Bibby and Miss Gregory would like to say a huge well done to all of Year 3 for such a fantastic start to the new term. Just like last term, we've been incredibly impressed with the photographs of work which we've received and the many stories of success from another week of home learning. Thank you to all the adults who are helping to support the children. You're all stars. Before our pupil shout outs, we would also like to say a huge thank you to our class reps, Louise and Laura, who continue to do an amazing job at keeping the communication going between us and the Year 3 families. You're both fab, and we're really grateful for everything you're doing to help. So let's have a shout out for the reps. Well done. Mrs. Bibby would like to start by giving a shout out to Jaden, who sent his ideas about hope along with a photograph of him and his puppy, Ted Scruffles, sitting in a boat which he made for them out of a cardboard box. Jaden's first hope is that Ted doesn't bite his feet and does well with his puppy training. He also hopes to be able to see his friends and the staff at school soon, as he misses everyone lots. We miss you too, Jaden. Mrs. Bibby would also like to give a shout out to Scarlett. Like Jaden, Scarlett is also missing her friends and hopes she'll be able to spend some time with them before Year 3 ends. She also sent a video message to Mrs. Bibby to say that she hopes that when she's in Year 4, she has as much fun as when she was in Year 3. I'm sure you will, Scarlett. Mrs. Bibby's last shout out this week is for Olivia, who has written an absolutely amazing poem about hope, which she has copied in for me. So I'm going to read it to you. Olivia says, "Hope feels like swimming in a pool. Hope tastes like sweets. Hope looks like a rainbow. Hope sounds like rain falling into a puddle. And hope smells like fresh air." So well done to Olivia and everyone else in 3B. Some round of applause. Miss Gregory would like to give Iris and Lucy a shout out this week. Both girls have written wonderful poems about hope. Iris even managed to write her poem before Mr. Winterburn suggested it. She's put great minds think alike, Iris. Lucy used lots of colour to present her poem. It looks beautiful. Well done, girls. Miss Gregory would also like to give a shout out to Isiodos. This week he's written What Hope Means to Me. Miss Gregory really enjoyed reading what he'd written, especially the line, "Hope feels like a nice warm hug from my mum." Well done. So very well done to everyone in 3G. Right, so our Year 4 team, so Mrs. Moon and Miss Long, let's just straighten them up. So Year 4 team say, "We can't believe that it's term 6 already. We are so impressed with how well Year 4 have come back to home learning after a relaxing half term. Year 4 are superstars." Miss Long would like to shout out to Bisma. She's really thought about the theme this week. She hopes that Bisma hopes that airlines will be open soon so that she can visit her grandparents in Pakistan. She also hopes that people who are ill get better. I'm sure that everyone feels the same, Bisma. My second shout out is for Will. He hopes to go back to school soon and to be able to play football with his friends. My last shout out is to Suki. She hopes to be able to go on holiday again so she can see her grandparents. Well done to 4L. You really have thought about the theme this week, and I hope that your hopes all come true soon. So a round of applause to 4L. 4M, Mrs. Moon has written, "What a start to term 6. Lots of excitement around our new class book. Lots of enthusiasm for our maths challenges. Wow." My first shout out goes to Charlie and Imi this week. This week, Charlie found some of our division problems tricky. Imi gave him lots of encouragement, and Charlie was resilient and worked his way through the challenges with huge success. Charlie has supported Imi back when they've been learning to play chess. Fab teamwork, guys. Her second shout out goes to Jessica, who, since being at home, has started to write poetry about this period of time. She sent me a sample of her poems, and I think they are incredible. This one, Mrs. Moon says, is my favourite so far. Now I'm going to read this to you. It's called The Downs. This time of fear, this time of sadness, this roller coaster ride. No seeing friends, no meeting up. When will it ever end? Crying when you need to, smiling when you're happy. There is all sorts of ways you could feel, but the most important thing is that you tell a grown-up. Whatever emotion you feel, we can only see our family and our house. It feels like a year, but this is how it was when coronavirus was here. So excellent poem there, very moving, Jessica. Let's have a round of applause for that. And Mrs. Moon's final shout out here. Final shout out is for children who joined me at the end of last term in what we hoped would be the world's largest online art lesson with Rob. We had hoped to break the world record and we helped to absolutely smash it. So shout out to my fellow record breakers, Zuzana, Holly, Covid, Sanchita, Anika, Ethan, Charlie, Zach, and Madanch. So very well done for you for taking part in that world-breaking art lesson. Right, so before we move on, I mentioned the staff team who've been working directly with children this week. We have lots of other staff on our team, as you know. And I can't name all of them, but I just want to mention a few. Everyone is doing their bit. I think that's what makes Wheatfield such a special place to work and hopefully a special place for your children to come in. Some of our staff can't come into school at the moment, and they've been beavering away behind the scenes, supporting the staff who are in school. Some of the staff have been doing things to do with the administration of the school, our office team, that often you don't see and you don't notice. The only time we notice it is when things start to go wrong, when messages don't get answered or things don't get ordered or the school doesn't get cleaned. And actually our office team have been beavering away so that all the wheels just turn smoothly and we've got the things we need. So a big shout out to them. People who've been in school just doing other jobs. There's been masses of clearing to do to get the classrooms ready for the children's coming back. And people have just been spending their time so wisely, making the school a really welcoming place for when children are back in it. What I notice is just everyone wants to do their bit to make Wheatfield such a great place. And I guess the other people to mention, just the senior team who work around me, who've just been such a massive sort of support. Everyone is there for each other. So I'm a very proud head teacher and I'm very grateful to our entire staff team. So can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you. Right, moving on. So year 5. So here we have Mrs. Elmore and Mrs. Davis on the sofa. Let's see who smashed it this week. So they've said, we can hardly believe it's term 6 and the end of another week. We want to give a huge shout out to all the children in year 5 and the way they're continuing with their resilience, even though it hasn't been easy this week. We know that lots of you have found it difficult to get back into home learning, but we're proud of the way that you have pressed on. We miss you all lots and we hope to see you all very soon. For 5D, shout out to Mohammed, who's been working so hard on his home learning this week. He's so inspired by a reading comprehension extract that he's decided to bake the honey cake mentioned, and it looked delicious. Well done, Mohammed. Also to Max, who completed his computing home learning by designing his own fantastic computer game character. He made a great list of hopes for the future, mostly that football can restart soon. and to Pranjal for continuing to work hard on his home learning and impressing me with his maths learning. He's even created his own map of India, including all the regions. Fantastic work, Pranjal. So a big shout out to everyone in 5D. Well done. And now 5E, so a shout out to Rania, who produced an inspiringly ambitious list of hopes and dreams for the future. This included traveling the world and following her passion towards working in a professional kitchen, all things that I very much believe that she will do. And then second shout out goes to Anna, whose zest for life and theatrical nature brightened Mrs. Elmore's world this week. Her all singing, all dancing approach to everything she does is inspiring for those around her. And then final shout out goes to Grace, whose positive and hopeful nature has been absolutely infectious. There's nothing that can bring this girl down. Thank you for your never ending enthusiasm. So a big well done to everyone in 5E. Okay, year 6 shout outs now. So Miss White and Miss Garraway. So this week we've been blown away with the real effort that we've seen the children making after having such a relaxing half term. We've been bombarded with videos and pictures of science investigations. We've been wowed by the poets that are hidden amongst our classes and stunned by the dedication for all the other subjects that we've set for them. They truly have shown great resilience to come back to the final term of the school year and try to give it all they've got. So for 6W this week, Miss White has enjoyed seeing and reading some of the children's hopes for this term and beyond. Anaya hopes that she can see a friend on Friday and that it'll be sunny when she does. Looking outside here, it looks sort of sunny-ish. So hopefully you're enjoying that today, Anaya. Chloe hopes she can get back to the gym and start her training soon, although I know that she's been keeping up the hard practice at home. She also hopes to see her friends. And finally, Rodrigo has thought even further into the future than just this term, and he hopes that in secondary school in September, he's able to organise his time better. I hope that all their hopes become a reality. So a big shout out to everyone in 6W. And then in 6G this week, Shaquille hopes that lockdown will be over soon so that things can get back to normal. Alex also wants to be able to see his friends and teachers again. Lois is hoping to be able to get back to her team sports very soon. Despite having been in lockdown for a long time now, Miss Garraway has been amazed with the resilience and conscientiousness of 6G. And this term, as well as the home learning, we're setting, lots of year 6 have been sent work by their new secondary schools. So they're also having to get into that and are beginning to get excited about their new adventures for September. She ends by saying, keep up the great work, year 6. So a round of applause for 6G. Okay, so before we end, a final couple of shout outs, a final couple of messages. So I think number one, our class reps, you got mentioned from a couple of the classes, but I know that teachers in school and everyone keeps mentioning you. So thank you. You didn't know quite what you were signing up for when you signed up for it. You didn't know quite how long you'd be doing it, but I know that all the reps, the teachers, the staff, and I'm sure the other families really appreciate your efforts. So a big shout out to all the reps. Thank you. And then to all of our families, again, you've been mentioned by lots of the teachers. You're frequently mentioned in school when we talk about how the children are getting on and how the home learning is going. I know that this has gone on for a long time, and I can tell just by the numbers of people we've got tuned in. I can tell by the way I feel some days. It's gone on longer than we wanted it to. There are days where we're we're not feeling it. There are days where we're feeling a bit down in the dumps. There are days where it's easier to wish it all away, but you've kept going, families, and we really appreciate that. And I know your children will really appreciate that. And when we're beyond this point and we're looking back in the future, we'll be glad that we stuck at it. So families, it is week 8. You have passed your week 8 QTS. I'm straining for ideas now, but if any of you are as old as me, then you might remember that every Christmas time, the gift you would often give your dad or your granddad would be a soap on a rope. Do you remember that? Okay, soap on a rope. So this week, you haven't got a soap on a rope. You've got hope on a rope. Okay, so here is your certificate for this week. QTS week 8, hope on a rope for staying hopeful. So there you go. That's the best I could come up with. Hope you enjoyed that. So listen, a round of applause to all of our families and home learning teachers. You're nearly passing. I don't quite know how many weeks the course is in length, but round of applause to you. Okay, so I'm going to do hot chocolate today. I'm going to do it at 3:30, not 3 o'clock. So 3:30 for hot chocolate. That's because I've got another online meeting that I can't get out of. So 3:30, hot chocolate. I'd like to see lots of comments. So I will unlock this video in a moment, this assembly. If you can do shout outs, it can be anything. It can be children shouting out to their friends. Clearly, lots of them are missing their friends. It can be shouting out to your teachers. You could tell us a joke. You could tell us a bit of news. Let's just have something to read out and share as a community. So put your comments on. Don't be shy. Let's have lots of stuff to read. And let's invite a few more people as well. It'd be great if we could get everyone together for hot chocolate at 3:30. So do a bit of nagging. Go on, ask a few people in. Let's get a few of us together. Let's see if we can get more than 100, because we're still one school. It's still a school day, and I look forward to seeing you then. 3:30. Lots of comments. Bye.